Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Newby. I teach in the history department with Omar. And as Omar said, if you came in late, you might have missed it, but he said we're part of the OFAR program right now, which is the Open for Anti-Racism program through the community college. I actually forget who hosts it because my brain's a little bit fried, but it's really good and we're in it. We're representing the Bakersfield College team, which this semester is all historians. We didn't plan for that to happen. It's just how it went down. So that's kind of cool. Okay, sorry. Like Cecil, I was doing something on the internet, went to a different site. If you can give me 1 second. I actually started looking up liquid syllabi on Google Sites because that was my big takeaway and that's what I need to do next. Okay, here we go. So can everyone see my screen? Yeah, cool. Okay, so what I wanted to do to dive into culturally responsive teaching or culturally responsive pedagogy was put my students in a position of power in the course to disrupt that power dynamic as myself as this ultimate arbiter of historical knowledge and break that down a little bit so that the students had a chance to really build something for the course and subsequently for future courses as well. And for those who don't know, this is called open pedagogy or an open pedagogical approach. And it's really just making the learners active participants in their own learning process. And one of the things I decided to do, and actually, so I'm sorry, this is for a world history B2 course. This is the modern half of world history. I haven't incorporated it into my early world history courses. I plan on doing so, but it's going to be a little more intensive just because of the paucity of sources that comes with an early world history class. But I'm teaching this for History B2. My partner is a dual enrollment instructor through BC at Liberty High School. She's actually doing a very similar assignment for US history, the second half of US history. And so the assignment is essentially, rather than having 4 reflection papers, which I've done in the past, and if you don't know or if you don't do them, I highly recommend reflection papers. It's a great way to get the students to start thinking about their own learning journey. But in this class, I took out 2 of them and I replaced them with an assignment that I call Marginalized Voices. And so they've done 2. This is the second one that was just completed prior to spring break. And as you can see, I break down what marginalized means. A lot of my students might not understand that. And the purpose of this assignment is for the students to engage in some historical skills, some think of it like a mini research paper. They need to go use scholarly databases like JSTOR or EBSCOhost, and I link them to our class website here, the Bakersfield College Library website there. I give them all the resources they need to do that. But essentially, the meat and potatoes of this assignment is finding a narrative, a person who has traditionally been left out of the historical narrative and writing not a report on them, but really writing about their historical significance, their contributions to society, their contributions to their community, but perhaps they were left out of the historical narrative because of their race, ethnicity, gender, maybe they were a disabled person, maybe they were incarcerated individuals, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a chance for students to fill in the gaps in the curriculum. And it goes an extra step because as we know, representation is directly related to a student's ability to succeed in a class. Students who feel represented in the curriculum and their textbooks do better in those classes. And so this gives the students open range to dive into their own personal cultural capital and to bring their ethnic core, their ethnic values to the table. You know, and I've had really good success with this among my students who are LGBTQIA or Native students. They seem to really get into it and really find some historical characters that, you know, as the historian in the room, I had no idea existed. And so it's a really great learning lesson for me. It's a great way for them to find themselves in the archive. And the final step of this, if I'm not getting too long-winded here, the final step of this is to take the exemplary submissions and make them into OER deliverables so that professors in the future, other teachers in the future can pull from student created research to inform their classes later on. So really with this assignment, I'm hoping to find some sort of, let's see, recognitive justice, making these marginalized voices heard. And the other word, I have to address my notes here, representational justice, allowing these voices that are unheard to be told by people who represent the same communities. So that's the great idea, like the big idea, not great, I'm not patting myself on the back, but that's the bigger idea. And so this is the first semester I've implemented it. I've had some mixed results so far, like some really great ones, and then some students who still think this is just a book report. And so I need to find, I need to navigate that now and present it, I think, a little more clearly, my expectations. But this is the assignment. I plan to put this on OER as well. So teachers who want to use this will be able to. And that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jeff. So when you say that you're going to put, or how is this going to be shared? Because I would love to see it. You're muted.
Like, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time?
Oh, I was just wondering, how are you going to share this, after the semester is over?
So as for the assignment itself, I'll create a template and I'll put it in Commons, and I'll put, I'm not sure like what the best key phrases to make it the most accessible will be, but I'll be sure that the department knows about it. I'll be sure you know about it, Alex. And then if you have advice for me to make it more open, I'm sure I'll be asking you a lot of questions, but yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Such a great example of ways to really centralize the student experience, building student identity into the content of the course. And I can imagine that there's, a lot of buy-in for students as they're working on this assignment. Are there any questions for Jeff?
I just had a quick comment. I think that is such a wonderful verbiage that you have there. I really love that, because in history, I'm an anthropologist, but in history classes, I never remember any of my history instructors back in the day recognizing positionality of a discipline. And I just want to say that was awesome that you did that.
Thank you very much. I can't take full credit. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. And so this idea came from someone else saying something very similar from a different college, but from a different discipline. And I was like, we can make that work for history, right? And so, yeah, I'm glad you dig it. And I hope you'll be able to find it easily if you want to. Alex will help me with that again.
Yeah, I'm seeing a really good blog post. Any ideas about how you might apply this strategy in a discipline outside of history? Jeff, or if there's other faculty here outside of history that want to jump in.
Alex, I started this semester, not nearly as cool as Jeff's, but I started in my intro to teaching course. We have a diversity module, and it's just, some stuff to read and look at. It wasn't anything very interactive. So this semester I added a cultural identity factor to it, so students could look into what their cultural identity is. And a lot of them don't really know what that means. They want to use adjectives like smart or funny or shy, and I'm like, those aren't really your cultural identifiers. What do you, when you describe your cultural identifiers, that's a different thing. So I started doing that, and they really liked it. I think I'm going to continue doing it. I'd be happy to share it. It's really, like I said, not nearly as cool and involved as Jeff's because it's so new, but I have them write in the do a circle thing. And again, I borrowed this from somebody else. I mean, always, harvest from your better professors out there. And I found this little form where you put your name in the circle, and then it's just got a little sunburst where you write all your identifiers in it. And then I had them share that and then talk about what those things meant to them. And I didn't pressure them to talk about anything they weren't comfortable with. It was really whatever you wanted to share. And students have really liked it. And the whole point of that activity is so they can understand their cultural identifiers, yes, but also so that when they become teachers down the road, so I teach in education, they will be able to better understand their students. That's my whole point of the assignment. So again, very new. I just tried it out and again, borrowed it from someone else. But I really do think that it's a great sort of eye-opening thing for students to do. So along the same lines, of what you guys are doing. So yeah, Jeff, I really look forward to seeing that, seeing how it came out. Like, I would love to see at the end of the semester what make your students do a survey or something and find out what they really thought about it. Sometimes they won't tell you in the discussion, but they'll tell you in a survey.
As part of this program, as Omar knows, they have to take a survey. And so like we will really get to know what they thought about things. And hopefully it's great, but we'll see.
That's awesome. And Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing that. I think one of the key pieces about this is for culturally responsive pedagogy, we need to be reflective of ourselves as educators too. And so that the work that you're doing to teach future educators to be reflective is really a fundamental piece of our work. Just like Jeff said, reflecting on positionality and our power.